So here's the deal. For many years, I was struggling with releasing my content in the forms of schools of ministry, in the forms of written books, written articles. And I thought I was trying to be a perfectionist when I only learned later on that it was not a struggle with trying to get a perfect sound out, but it was more me being afraid of the criticism that comes when you make your knowledge public. And I had to reconcile the fact that I was not bound by a spirit of a perfectionist, but I was bound by the opinions and the criticism of men. As I journey along the road, I meet very intelligent people, very knowledgeable people, people that are graced by God in very different ways. And whenever I engage them, a lot of these people say that they don't think their sound is right, they don't think that their content is right, or they say that they don't want to be making mistakes. And many times when I engage them and I consult with them on different levels, I always tell them that they must make a distinction between being a perfectionist or being bound by the criticism and the opinion of men. When you are bound by the criticism and the opinion of men, you will never release your content, you will never release your sound, and you will never be a realist as far as you are concerned. And so the first level of obedience is becoming comfortable with who God called you to be. Now, a lot of us are not comfortable with who God called us to be, because many times when we try to take a stand for God and try and own our gift, try and own our measure, we always come into people that tell us we're not ready, people that tell us it's premature, people that tell us we should wait a little bit longer. And sometimes we place such a high premium on these people's opinion that we literally self-sabotage and we remain stranded at the same place, at the same location, having a deep desire to do more, but at the same time thinking that the voice of reason or the voice of wisdom is something that must consistently tell us our state of readiness. I want to encourage you to snap out of it. If you're going to release your sound, if you're going to write the book, if you're going to write the song, nothing will ever be produced without mistakes. Nothing will be produced without error. And sometimes we just have to go ahead and trust our judgment and go ahead and release what we have to release, because you just don't know who it will reach and how it will impact a generation. So you have to get to that place of obedience where you become all that God wants you to be, and you step out in it and you do it to the best of your ability. If you're going to be bound by the criticism and the opinion of men, you will rob an entire generation of you. And here's the thing that a lot of us don't understand. Our gift is what we owe our generation. And so for me, when I reconcile perfection with criticism, I realize, you know what, I'm not really a perfectionist, but I'm scared of what men would say. I'm scared of how they will receive my obedience. And I just remain stranded at the same place. And finally, I conjured up enough courage and faith to do what God has called me to do. Did I experience criticism? Of course I did. Do people still criticize some of the things I put out? Of course they do. What I'm realizing at the end of the day is that a critic will always be part of our journey. You cannot wait for all critics to die out. Critics will always be a part of your journey. At the end of the day, you have to own you and trust that God has called you and God has equipped you to impact a generation. So stop trying to be a perfectionist. Stop trying to be a perfectionist. Be obedient to what God has called you to do. Render it in excellence, but shut out the noise boys and do what God called you to be. Blessings.